We're currently in the midst of an epidemic that we call the opiate epidemic. But what we're really in the midst of is an addiction epidemic. And if you look back in time, every 10 or 15 years, we have a different drug category that takes the place of the last epidemic. The real epidemic is addiction. And until we acknowledge and address the disease of addiction, other drug categories, other drug types will come in and fill its place. We need to view addiction as a brain disease and a chronic illness. It is not a moral failing. It is not a lack of willpower. It is a chronic illness that needs to be treated like other chronic diseases, like diabetes, like heart disease, like asthma. It requires focused wellness, early intervention, treatment, and follow-up approaches. Imagine going into a doctor's office with high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and the doctor says to you, there's not much we can do until you have your first heart attack. You have your heart attack, you go to the hospital, and the hospital says, you know what? We really can't treat this until ambulatory care has been shown not to work. So you go home and you have your second and your third heart attack, and finally they admit you into the hospital. You're in the hospital, you don't get the best treatment that's available. When you leave the hospital, you're not given a follow-up appointment with your physician to continue to monitor your heart, your cholesterol, your blood pressure. Instead, they shake your hand and they say, we'll see you at the next heart attack. Hopefully that won't happen. We would never tolerate this in medicine. People generally cannot get treatment until they reach a substance use disorder, and the severe substance use disorder category at that. We shake their hand at the door, we wish them luck, and we do very little to follow until a relapse occurs. One of the key areas that we fail to address is the area of adolescent substance use disorders. 90% of adults with substance use disorders began the use of drugs or alcohol in the adolescent developmental period. If we ignore the treatment needs of this young population, we are solidifying the pipeline to longer-term substance use disorders. We've made a lot of advances in the use of medication to treat opiate use disorders. Unfortunately, there's very little data on the utility of them in people under the age of 18. Opiates are hitting suburban America, and that's why it's getting the attention that we need. It's a good thing that we're getting the attention, but we typically only address issues when they hit middle America. And I'm hoping that with this epidemic, we can broaden our scope in the future.